Alright. Sorry it took so long getting on. Obviously having a lot of technical difficulties. So tonight we're gonna have to do something different. I don't know how long I'm gonna be on because I don't actually know how this is gonna work. Couldn't get none of the videos to transfer over tonight, so we're gonna try a hybrid model. And we're gonna see how that works. And again, y'all watching Politics is War. I think I'm gonna go ahead and jump straight into it just because I know I'm gonna be off circuit a little bit. For those that haven't been paying attention over the holiday weekend, I hate to ruin your week, but we going to war, man. I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but all of the signs are there. I don't know what order we're going to be able to go in tonight. Hopefully the order will make sense, but we're there. See, where do I want to start? I'm going to start here because we haven't talked about policing issues or ICE issues lately. And going into the reconstruction, I think it's important that people are we're on all fronts and organizing. So let's see what they're talking about. Minneapolis, right?
Had those reports. I want to be clear to the community. The community should know that if you see something like that is legitimate, that you don't know if someone is law enforcement, you should call 911. And you should provide as much information as possible, because let's not forget, we very recently had tragedy in this state.
I don't know how to stop it.
Who was purporting to be law enforcement. So please, let's be clear. That's something everyone should report, and that we will immediately respond to, and we will document. Whether it's somebody's not sure if there's a kidnapping happening, somebody's not sure if there's law enforcement present or not. And that's something else that's additional policy requirements that we are implementing, that we will document and report these types of things anytime that we hear it, and reminding our officers of their duty to...
Now he sounds somewhat nervous, but I commend his message. His message to law enforcement is to the civilians and community that if you see somebody in your community that represents any type of suspicion, that you should call them immediately and not necessarily comply. And this is becoming important when we talk about the potential war crimes and the war that I believe that has already started. So let's start. Let's start here.
New fake news portal, which I found interesting. What is your objective with that, ultimately? And are you going to name the news networks, and are you also going to name some of the correspondents, some which may be here today?
Yes, we are. I'm glad you noticed. Much to the dismay of some of your
now,
colleagues.
see, the screen is whitewashed. So for what's going on is the Trump administration has created a new news media. So over the last couple of months, we've seen the Pentagon restrict free media. We've seen the presidential administration control the media that's allowed in the Oval Office. And now we're seeing a select, complete new orchestration of media. While we have law enforcement that is ringing the bell on curious actions. And it's not funny. It's not funny because we're allowing the cement to be cemented. So when ICE first started, it was all about immigrants, and it appeared to be a separate militia that was able to operate independent of the law. Currently, we see that there's conflict in Minneapolis, to state the least, of what civilians can recognize as law enforcement and that they don't recognize as law enforcement. And we also have another issue going on up there with the Somalians. But war we're at And why are we at war? Is this the reason that we're seeing all of the bouncing balls? Are we seeing history repeat itself with the same sentiment? Why does it do that?
Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology.
Well, for those Americans who do not understand why we need to go in.
All right, here it goes.
Of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well with oil.
She ain't said nothing about dope
copper,
yet.
Gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have the 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. I mean, it's just off the charts. We have a lot to do. This region matters. It has a lot to do with national.
Now again, I'm gonna play that clip again. But for those that are just clicking in, the setup is not right tonight. I could not get the videos to upload and transfer over, so I'm doing a hybrid situation here. So they're gonna have to excuse me for not flowing fluidly and not hitting the videos in sync the way I want to hit them in sync. But as you just heard from my general, it's a necessity, right? When you talk about South America, you're talking about the lungs of the world. And not only that, how beneficial it is to our oil companies. Now watch the two in tandem and ask yourself, is it really about drug smuggling, or does it have more to do with oil, gold, and rare earth materials, which is similar to what I believe the Aboriginals felt when the colonizers came over here, because it seemed like they came for the same thing. And it's eerie listening to them talk like this. Watch this.
Why we need to go in basically for three reasons. You're in Fox Business. Venezuela, for the American oil companies, will be a field day because it will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe and the whole oil rigs and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies, or everything that has to do with oil and the derivatives.
Now, she said it would be a field day for oil companies to go in there. Still ain't heard nothing about dope, right? And I'm going to play this clip one more time for the people that just clipped in, because I'm starting to get the hang of doing both of these right here.
Of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements.
Not at all.
You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over
60% of lithium. That's the same reason that they hit Africa, right? And you're 100% right, man. I ain't got nothing to do with drugs. Neither does the war on drugs. But we're going to get into some of the FBI's commentary and what I believe we're going to see overwhelmingly hitting the people in 2026. But what else are they going down there for, man? Because we've already heard lithium. We've heard oil.
a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have the 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. I mean, it's just awesome.
Now dig this for shits and giggles for those that pay attention to history. When they came to the Americas, what did they come to the Americas for? Yeah, rare minerals, right? How long ago did they come to the Americas? We just had Thanksgiving, right? People talk about slavery and all this good shit. But the problem I have is that people don't calculate lineage. Lineage is real, bro. If I live 90 years and my son is 70 when I die, I'm passing all that on. That's one generation, right? That's 100 years, one generation. But we don't pay attention to lineage. So let's get back to what else they got down there.
We have a lot to do. This region matters. It has a lot to do with national security, and we need to step up our game.
So it's national security that we're going down there for, right? So when we see this, no, I want to start here because I don't think y'all actually understand what the fog of war is. I don't think y'all get it. I don't think y'all understand how serious.
A $1 billion program funded by President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill. It is purpose-built on the pillars of the War Department's new acquisition philosophy, a stable demand signal to expand the U.S.
Wrong one.
By leveraging private capital paired with flexible.
I'm going to come back to this one. That's the wrong one. This is when we're talking about drones and enhancement of security, and we're definitely going to come back to that video. That's not the one that I wanted to hit with him. And again, I have them separated just because of the way that I'm set up tonight, which I'm not 100% happy about. Go back to here. I'm not even going to play with that one yet.
Don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people. It's called the fog of war.
It's called the fog of war, people. You have to pay attention because the Department of War is authorized to do what y'all can't fathom, right? And what he's talking about is the bombings of the pedestrians or drug smugglers that we've been seeing. But is that a war crime? Is it a war crime?
Career. In business, reality TV, and politics, Donald Trump has had one and only one play: bullying his opponents into silence. He did it.
Or is the senator right? Is the president just bullying the world into his actions? Is that the reason why we have independent media coming right now and nobody's saying anything? And when I say independent media, I'm talking about a media that was created by the Trump administration. I'm trying to get to this next folder here. Let's see. Okay. Right? Is it a war crime?
I want to turn to new details we're learning about the U.S. attacks on a suspected drug boat, which have killed dozens of people. Now, sources tell CNN that in the first strike in September, one missile disabled the ship and killed many of the crew members, but when some survived that first strike, the military launched a second strike to kill anyone who was left. And these individuals were apparently unarmed, already injured from the original attack. Are you comfortable with that?
Well, I don't know if I believe that at all, because we're doing alleged sources. Nothing has been verified by this. We do know that a survivor that did survive in later attacks was picked up.
He's 100% right. Currently, it's alleged. And this is interesting for those that haven't been following the details. And I'm trying to tie it together for you guys to let you know that we're at war and you should be moving accordingly. So you had our Secretary of Defense that we heard talk about what he has to do in the heat of the night. And that was as a direct response from the second attack on the boat. Then you had the Washington Post, which is interesting, break a story talking about he being the director of the Department of War ordered a hit on the survivors. And that could be true. But how would they know? Like how? How would they know? And I know information gets leaked and all that good stuff, but if we already surrounded Venezuela with warships, and we've just heard from our our generals, that rare minerals is a necessity to securing national security in that area. We've heard from the president, I don't want to hit the wrong one, I think that's it. We heard from the president that whatever the military has to do, he's okay with it. Right?
It says that somehow Venezuela is not involved in the drug trade because the UN says they're not involved in the UN. I don't care what the UN says. The UN doesn't know what they're talking about. Maduro is indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York. That means the Southern District of New York presented the evidence to a grand jury, and a grand jury indicted him. And then a superseding.
All right. So let's talk about this statement real quick. One, the UN doesn't know what they're talking about, which is interesting position to take when we talk about foreign policy. Very interesting, right? Very interesting take that the UN has no clue what they're talking about. And then we release an ex-felon president that brought in more dope than Pablo. And nobody sees the connections. Nobody sees the underlying current of domestic turmoil, overt governmental change from our social programs to reapplying for programs that was already mandated. Let me see.
We were successfully able to shut off all 13 precursors that make fentanyl and regulate fully 7 additional chemicals that alter fentanyl to make it a lethal, addictive drug that it is. And that pipeline being shut off is forcing drug traffickers to scramble, which we're seeing, for alternative.
I hear that. I was underneath the impression that fentanyl killed in its rawest form.
Fentanyl to make it a lethal, addictive drug that it is. And that pipeline being shut off is forcing drug traffickers
now, if it's about
to scramble
the trafficking
for alternatives. And
Washington Post
they know
supports
and we know
Duck Dynasty.
That's why we came up with this list.
Interesting. So
watch this stuff.
You're actually seeing right now drug traffickers scrambling. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So generally, without getting into the classified nature of the material where we have access to, we can see reflections from what the drug trafficking organizations, say down in Mexico and Colombia and Venezuela and elsewhere, are doing, the guys that are making the fentanyl. We know where they are, we know who they are, we know how they do it. And when we surveil and monitor and investigate these folks, we see.
We know where they are, we know how they do it, we even listen to them while they're doing it, but we don't hit them. We break international laws and treaties, and people think it's not about to hit their door, so why does that keep?
Let me be clear. Drugs are killing our kids. Whether you are a street level drug dealer, a common street level drug dealer, or an international drug kingpin, we are coming for you. We will find you.
Interesting.
And you will be accountable and held to justice for your crimes. It's killing our kids, it's killing our friends, it's killing our relatives. And this guy is responsible for a tremendous amount of that horror. President Trump gave us.
So we know where it's at in Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. We don't know where it's at in the streets of America, but all connected activity is now terrorist. Watch the enhancements. Where'd that one go? Looking for that one folder. Okay.
Con 1.200 misiles y un submarino nuclear apuntan a Venezuela.
And a nuclear submarine,
Mr. President, Donald Trump, usted tiene que cuidarse porque Marco Rubio quiere manchar sus manos de sangre.
Slow this down real quick. He's like, you must be careful. It said Marco Rubio, South American, Caribbean, Venezuelan blood.
Sangre suramericana, caribeña, con sangre venezolana. Lo quieren llevar a un baño de sangre y que su apellido, Trump, se manche de sangre por los siglos de los siglos. Con una masacre contra el pueblo de Venezuela, con una guerra terrible contra Sudamérica y el Caribe, porque esto sería una guerra completa en todo el continente. Presidente Donald Trump, la búsqueda de cambios de régimen está agotado, está fracasado como política en el mundo.
It doesn't sound like he wants to go to war. Like we have a whole bunch of states and countries, not states, we have a whole bunch of countries that talk tough. He doesn't sound like he's one of them. Right? But we can be assured that after this, we won't have this problem.
It's traceable directly to a problem caused by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Why did homes get so unaffordable? Because we have 20 million illegal aliens in this country taking homes that ought by right to go to American citizens. Why did tax bills get so unaffordable? Because Democrats were raising taxes while congressional Republicans under the president's leadership were now cutting taxes. Why did food get so expensive? Because we printed trillions of dollars and threw it into green scams that made our agricultural economy suffer while Americans were paying higher prices for food. On every single...
And y'all still believe that? Y'all still believe that food, housing, and security is a partisan issue? When we seen Democrats vote for the socialism, anti-socialism bill, and I'm not saying that you should be pro-socialism or not, I'm just saying, if the talking points from the Republican Party was only Republican, why would the Democrats support it? If the shutdown was supposed to be leveraged to secure health care, why did the Democrats fall on it? All right, nobody is... Stop paying attention to the bullshit. Stop paying attention to the bouncing ball and pay attention to the facts. The facts is the government was shut down by both parties. No compromise and reopen. Right? The reality is that we have an independent media player again. Because this is real.
Which I found interesting. What is your objective with that, ultimately? And are you going to name the news networks? And are you also going to name some of the correspondents?
Let me go out of that and start it back over.
Yes,
we are.
Following on Dave's question, you said that the follow-up strike.
The White House today launched a new fake news portal, which I found interesting. What is your objective with that, ultimately? And are you going to name the news networks? And
which part is bullshit?
Some of the correspondents, some which may be here today.
Yes, we are. I'm glad you noticed.
The fact that they got a new news.
Much to the dismay of some of your colleagues in the room, John. And I think it goes to our original promise on day one to hold the media accountable.
No more fake news, right?
Unfortunately, and we deal with this all day, every day around here. There are so many fake stories that are unfortunately written that have inaccurate representations of meetings that took place, and it's all based on anonymous sourcing.
Repeats
and
itself.
The standard for journalism, unfortunately, has dropped to such a
And I ain't just, and people gonna say Nazis and Hitler and all that shit. Yes, he's using the playbook. He is using the playbook. But he is not the maestro. You know what I mean? You know how you know he's not the maestro? Because they arrogantly tell you. They arrogantly tell you. But you don't
It's
pay
going to be a
attention.
third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president in 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll...
Here it is. This is the part I want you to hear. Right here. And they keep telling you because they're serious. He's what? Is he the genius that creates the policies? As we go through these clips, if you actually pay attention, he sits there, right?
Be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very
fucking divine.
He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you could tell this is how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term. Right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just
And I know y'all didn't pay
On one hand,
attention
you
to
said
it.
the Constitution.
I know y'all didn't hear it. I know y'all didn't hear it. I know y'all didn't hear it. So we're going to listen to it one more time. Because it's not about midterms, dogs. Fuck is wrong with y'all? This ain't
28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not
motherfucker's heaven sent.
Not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's
on
pulled
water.
this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you said the Constitution.
Y'all need him. The country needs him. We need him. He's divine. He's already created peace in the Middle East. Right? But then we still got cats like this that just haters, man.
It's the fucking hypocrisy of Donald Trump. He has a third of our military in the Caribbean, supposedly, to prevent drugs from coming into America. And at the same time, this morning, pardons one of the most notorious drug dealers in Central America, the former president of Honduras, convicted of sending 400 tons of cocaine into the United States. What a disgrace.
Just fucking. And for people to say I cuss. He be cussing a lot, man. He's been flipping out a lot. But he does have a point. How do you let out a head of a cartel and then justify bombing boats? How do you do that?
And I was just sent a picture from somebody that wants to be there very badly.
We're about to transition a little bit.
He's been very respectful of me and of our country, but not so respectful of others. But I'm going to sign this for him, but I was sent one, and I thought you'd all like to see it. That's a man named Vladimir Putin, who I believe will be coming, depending on what happens. He may be coming, and he may not, depending on what happens. We have a lot of things happening over the next couple of weeks. But I thought it was a nice picture.
That's our president, man. It's our president. Y'all telling me he's the mastermind? He's the orchestrator? Or has he been hyped up to believe that he is actually divine and sent? Right? Let me get out of here. Just because I mentioned them. Let's get them some love too. These will be your Democrats that voted for socialism. House Minority Leader. Right. Just to give them some, ooh, don't want to do that. Just to give them some love. So, I'm slowly getting the hang of this, man. Slowly getting the hang of this. But I'm still not seeing them the way I want to see them. All right. So let's get back up to my main man here.
So, should the president declare war and/or should Congress approve an authorization?
I think the president is acting under his authority as commander-in-chief in a way that's consistent with what past administrations have done. And clearly, a war has been waged by these drug cartels against the United States, and it has come at a great cost to American citizens. We've lost tens of thousands of lives in just the past year to these drug cartels.
I love the way they
preface war in the Caribbean, and if so, should the president declare war?
For those
and/or should
that,
Congress
again, don't understand policy, you can't bomb. You can't bomb people at all. You can't just kill people and then make up a crime. And then we have our City of Six. Going now I want to hit this one. Because it makes sense now.
Is a $1 billion program funded by President Trump's big, beautiful bill. It is purpose-built on the pillars of the War Department's new acquisition philosophy. A stable demand signal to expand the U.S. drone industrial base by leveraging private capital paired with flexible contracting built for commercial companies founded by our best engineers and entrepreneurs.
All right, let me stop it right there real quick, and we're going to sort it back over. But I got to hear them. So
It's
in
called
politics,
the fog of war.
This is what you and the
when you
press
talk about
don't understand.
flexible
Drone dominance.
When you talk about flexible and private, that means it's not public and it has the ability to be orchestrated outside of orthodox law. They shook down all the corporations, of course. They're going to shake down the cartel, CIA. It's only right. Now, you're right, but it's bigger than just the drug play. Right? So I don't know when you clicked in, but I showed a few videos of our generals, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the cocaine bear. Right? Only thing that they was talking about was the rare minerals. And as melanated folks, you have a lineage or you have a history that you could talk about. Those aren't the same thing. As wealthy folks, I use Elon as an example. Elon's father owns what? A ruby field or own rubies in South Africa. Passed down billions. Trump comes from what? Wealth. Most of your European ancestral leadership has lineage connected to it. In America, we often don't pay attention to lineage. South America has rare minerals. Africa has rare minerals. Every place that was controlled by melanated or aboriginal Moors or whatever you want to call people that eat and absorb the sun has rare minerals. So when we look at the shakedown,
$1 billion program funded by President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
And we look at the
It is
reconstruction.
purpose-built on the pillars of the War Department's new acquisition philosophy. A stable demand signal to expand the U.S. drone industrial base by leveraging private capital paired with flexible contracting built for commercial companies founded by our best
Now we
engineers
talking about dope.
and entrepreneurs. Drone
They're
dominance
creating
will do two things. Drive costs down
surveillance
and
states.
capabilities up. We will deliver tens of thousands of small drones to our force in 2026 and hundreds of thousands of them by 2027.
Let me hit y'all with a few
I will
things
soon be meeting with
without trying to find all of the videos. A few months ago, our director of war, kicked out free media, the press, out of the Pentagon. That's unprecedented. This month, last month, our president didn't release the jobs reports. Again, unprecedented, right? The boats that have been blown up in the water are supposed to be drug traffickers, but we don't really know because there was no due process. They was just killed. Unprecedented, right? Our Supreme Court is currently hearing whether you can have the right to carry and have marijuana on you, or be a marijuana user, excuse me, not have you on it. But we have, I don't want to be wrong on the states, and I am about to be wrong because I'm throwing a number. We have damn near, to say half. We have almost a little under half of the states that probably have legalized marijuana, right? So that means those users will be felons, or at least subject to not being able to carry weapons. We've had the Trump administration, absent of Trump himself, with federal prosecutors talk about they're going to prosecute marijuana laws. Well, you can't have marijuana and a weapon with you. It's a fucking felon, right? Reconstruction of what's actually happening with ICE and the militia. You have law enforcement that doesn't have to identify themselves. Unprecedented, right? Shit, damn near probably illegal. Should be illegal because you have the right. But that's a whole other conversation because politics is a war without bloodshed. And I agree with you 1,010%. The comment that I'm talking about is the Supreme Court is compromised. All right. But let's say that the Supreme Court is compromised, and that would be the highest rule of authority. Then what you do? What you do when your daddy come home and he drinks all the time, he beats on your mom? You just sit there and watch him beat on your mom? Because he's authority? And this is what's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to listen to the authority. So again, I'm not disagreeing with you that the Supreme Court isn't compromised. But again, this is why people should be paying attention. You're watching states challenge unconstitutional rule. Lower courts ruling on it gets bumped up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ultimately sides with whatever side the administration wants. You're seeing media, and we already know it's been 5 conglomerates, but you're seeing those 5 conglomerates being singled down to one portal. That's beyond dangerous, people. And again, nothing is happening until you get all pillars set. You don't go to war until everything is proper, unless you planning to lose. It could take years before you actually implement a plan, a stratagem, a war. That's why victory is sweet, because it takes so long to get, not because it's so hard to fight. It just, you gotta wait a long time. You gotta have patience. And it seems like the American people are given as much patience as we need. So again, with the drones, let me hit my man before we get off. Oh man. I may actually be done with the video, so let me see. There we go. All right.
Hello, what's your role here in the company?
I'm a business setup advisor.
I'm a business setup manager here. With my processing speed, I could handle 5 teams and never miss a number. Should I start polishing your chair for a robot-sized replacement? Or maybe you'll convince me why you're truly irreplaceable. Okay, that's a great response. I would say that. What's the secret to being the best in your position?
Competence, knowledge, expertise in the field.
Strong answer, but with my end.
I was moving quick. Hit me back with the pillars, and I'll be able to hit you with it because I was moving quick. This right here is a display of, again, the conditioning of the digitalization of
Listen,
access.
Emery, I could download every legal detail overnight. Your chair's feeling a little wobbly now, isn't it?
Can you tell me if there are any ways to avoid corporate tax in...
And from this, I was going to actually hit the digital ID. I'm not going to do that because I know it's in a whole different folder. But I'm going to end on the war tonight just because everything didn't sync over. And I'll probably come back on in another day after it syncs because there was a lot of relevant videos that you guys need to see from our FBI director. Is this it right here?
We were successfully able to shut off all 13 precursors that make fentanyl and regulate fully 7 additional chemicals that alter fentanyl to make it a lethal, addictive drug that it is.
That sounds like that would end the war right there. Right? If you can effectively cut off what makes it deadly, that should kill it, right? That's like you give crackheads and cokeheads Narcan. There's a few more that I wanted to show you guys tonight, but I'm not going to be able to, because this is actually throwing me off, trying to go back and forth like this, and I don't see some of the ones off the top. Let me see.
They are spying on and interfering with nuclear and military activity. They have crashed on Earth, and their non-human bodies have been recovered. And the U.S. government has been covering it all up for decades.
So which one's going to come first?
Featured in the
War to
Age
Aliens.
of Disclosure, which is a serious contender in the Oscar race for Best Documentary. It debuts this Friday in some theaters and on Amazon Prime. And it features a bipartisan group of 34 senior members of the U.S.
It doesn't come from there. Like, fentanyl doesn't come from there. But fentanyl, again, is not watered down. I'm going to play this.
Following on Dave's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
On this pardon for the Honduran president, does it at all undercut the administration's messaging while you have congressional Republicans defending the strikes on the narco-terrorists and then partying for a convicted drug trafficker? Does that make it more difficult for your members to defend your administration's policy?
I don't think so, Jackie. I think that President Trump has been quite clear in his defense of the United States homeland to stop these illegal narcotics from coming to our borders.
She won't be back.
Whether that's by
Hey, Kay, this is for you, bro. I want you to peep these two real quick, and then I'm going to cut off after this. I want you to peep these two, though. This is what the war is about.
Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle. Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have the 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. I mean, it's just off the charts. We have a lot to do. This region matters.
It matters for those Americans who do not understand why we need to go in basically for three reasons. You're in Fox Business. Venezuela for the American oil companies will be a field day because there will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe and the whole oil rigs and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies or everything that has to do with oil and the derivatives.
So that's what it is. It ain't the fitting, it ain't the fentanyl, it ain't the drugs. It can't be the drugs. You can't release the head of a cartel
8 barcos militares.
and then say it's about drugs. You can't do it. You can't do it. But which is first? I'm gonna get off on this one, just because it's weird. Which is gonna happen first, bro? Is it gonna be the aliens? Is it gonna be the war? And why are they telling us this now? Why is this? Why is this?
And there are biologics, human, non-human bodies.
That's correct.
Someplace in this country,
Someplace.
in this program.
Correct.
Somewhere in this country, there are craft.
This shit getting weird, man. It's getting weird, guys. And I got a few more of these, and I have a few people that I actually serve with that's in Congress that I'm gonna play this in congressional hearings that are talking about aliens. But the fact that it's aliens, it's war, it's rare minerals, it's rocks in the sky, and nobody is paying attention. Again, man, y'all watching Politics is War. This week, we actually going to get into some of the local issues from the $1 billion investments, also to our routes. I had them set up in the other drive, but I wasn't able to load them up tonight. But there's some interesting things that's going to be happening in 2026 in Kansas City. The most in particular is going to be the soccer tournament. But you guys already have regional transit for soccer right now, which is irritating. It's irritating knowing how much funding gets passed quickly to appease wealthy folks and don't shit change for poor people. But it don't change for poor people because we don't do shit but complain. We don't do nothing but complain about no connectivity east and west or to North Kansas City. But all of a sudden, our airport, our hotels, and our convention centers are about to be connected. 16 hours straight, right? Aliens ain't dropping into all the world's natural resources. I don't actually know what's going on, bro. So I have a few videos. I can't get to them. I have a few videos though. One of the congressional members is actually talking about the fact that they probably already been here in the water. And then there are several congressional hearings that we'll go through. That they actually talk about different discoveries, areas that they discovered them in, technology that they utilize. So it may not be a fact of them coming in. It may be a fact of them slowly telling us who they've been working with. But anybody that studies melanated history already knows that the Dogon and all type of tribes have talked about celestial beings. Anybody that studies the monolithic structures around the world that resonates through rhythm and vibration and sound knows that it's a higher conscious and a higher understanding that modern melanated folks have been cut off from. And if we study history, it starts becoming very alarming that all of the melanated areas weren't controlled by anybody that's melanated, with the exception, I believe, of India. Right? So I'm going to get ready to get off just because I don't have all of my videos that I can actually play. But some of those that we're going to go through with the congressional hearings are very interesting, just because they're disclosing them. They have a movie that's coming out this week or next week, and we'll actually have clippings of it with our FBI director is actually talking about our current FBI director is talking about information, and they also talk about information that the president doesn't have, but it's all congressional and high-level officials that's going to be in this documentary movie that I believe is out now. I believe it came out around Thanksgiving, which is interesting to say the least. That they pushing all this shit out. But what's more interesting as they're pushing it out is watching with a historical eye how people willingly allow themselves to be pushed into a form of governance. And it's funny. It's like it's just interesting watching it. It's interesting watching people talk about basic dumbass social issues that have no relevance in anything when we're creating the what is the state called, man? The surveillance state. Right. So again, man, y'all watching Politics is War. I encourage y'all to get involved, to stop sitting at home, to stop allowing people to dictate your reality. And it may just be too late for the orthodox bird and wing, but it's never too late for self-governance.